It's fantastic to be asked to share just a few minutes with you on something that's really close to my heart, and that is the Magic 100. You're probably thinking, 100? 100 what? What does 100 mean? Well, I've been in the business quite a while, nearly 24 years. I know. I was only 12 when I started. That's why I looked at. And on occasion, when looking at the business and tracking the business, we began to see a pattern emerge. And the pattern that was emerging was leading us into a sense of false security. And many people in this room may recognize businesses that look a little like this. Now, I also learned something today about myself, so I want to be really honest with you. I learned today that I need to take more vision. Okay, I'm not taking enough of the vision product because I'm looking at this screen down here and I'm going, what? I can't see it. So hence I've got some notes with me. But you know, when you look at the average manager's business, if you take a soaring manager, for example, and you look at possibly their first generation managers, they might have a manager doing 30 case credits. They may have a manager doing 50 case credits. They may have a manager doing 12.01 case credits. Anybody get any of those? Yeah, you can relate to that. They may have a manager doing 60 case credits, maybe one doing 80 case credits. And on paper, that looks phenomenal. But sometimes people forget that in actual fact, when you add all that up together, it may be 232 actual case credits, but when you apply the 40%, it's only 92 case credits that you're credited with on your bonus recap and towards your incentives, towards all the achievements that you're going for. Then if you take that down to the second generation and you begin to see what's happening here, you begin to notice that the figures change again in a way that maybe we hadn't realized. So you could have managers on the second generation doing 50 case credits, 12 case credits, 60 case credits, maybe 20 case credits, maybe 30 case credits, maybe 40 case credits, maybe 25 case credits. You know, if you look at a manager who's doing 25 case credits, you have to ask yourself, are they really a manager? Because 25 case credits to me suggests they're a supervisor but with a manager pin. And yet very often we think that's okay. But it's not, is it? Not really. Not really. And if you look at that on that second generation, total actual is 437 case credits, but at 20%, it's only 87. And yet we look at these managers and we think it's okay to allow them to cruise at 25, 30 case credits. Now, obviously, the marketing plan goes down to another level, and this is where it begins to hurt a little if managers are non-productive, not reaching their potential. And if you look at this generation now, you're looking at managers doing 20, 30, 60, 50, 12.01. And if you actually look at what that gives you by way of actual case credits is 267, but at 10%, it's only 26 case credits. That's 26 case credits on a whole raft of managers that in their mind, they think they're doing well. But in actual fact, in the way the marketing model rewards, it's not enough. So what we have to bear in mind is if we look at a soaring manager business that looks a bit like this on the screen, if you actually look at what it's worth to you, if you look at the actual and then look at the 40-20-10, you'll see that the actual was close to nearly 1,000 cases. But because of the 40-20-10, it comes in at 206. Now, that yields a bonus of around about $6,500, and one can say, well, that's okay. That's not a bad income. But here's the thing. If we apply Greg's vision of times 2, And we begin to look into our teams and identify those people who we believe have potential, who we believe that with some input, some guidance, some coaching, some one-on-one time could apply the times two, then we begin to see a very, very different picture. Let's have a look at what I mean. This is where the magic of 100 kicks in. Let me explain where it came from. We analysed our own business many years ago. And one of the things that I always think is very important as a group of leaders is when we look at our business to apply what I call honesty. To apply honesty and say, am I genuinely doing the best I can in building my business? Could I do more? And how could I do more in order to inspire the team? And many years ago, we realized that if we helped our managers become 100 case credit non-manager leaders, then we would see a massive impact. And so the 100 Club was born. And the 100 Club had a profound effect in our team and then in the UK. Let me share with you what happens when you work with a group of managers who want to be in the 100 Club. Imagine if you had 5 frontline managers all doing 100 cases each of non-manager business. Not 12, not 25, not 50, but 100 each. That's going to give you 500 actual cases, and you apply the 40% rule, it will give you 200 cases. Now, that's a lot better than before when people were only doing 20, 30, 40, 50. And if you take that down to a second generation and you have all of those managers on the second generation doing 100 non-manager, what you've got now is over 1,000 actual cases. And of those 1,000 actual cases, if you apply the 20%, that's going to give you 200 cases. Now, if you go one step further and look at that on the third generation, this is now going to give you 600 actual, but it's going to give you 60 cases on the 10%. Remember, before it was only 26. Now, effectively, we've doubled on the third generation just by working with people who want to become 100cc non-manager leaders. Now, let me show you what that means by way of an income and by way of total case credits on your bonus recap. You'd have a total recap of 450 cases as opposed to just over 200. But more importantly, your bonus check has more than doubled, more than 2 times. It's over $14,000. So the power of the 100, the magic 100, we believe is fundamental in taking your business on a magical journey. So let me now maybe give you, in the few minutes I have, some advice on how to take your business, why the 100 is really important, but how to identify the people for you to work with that deserve your time. The first thing we have to understand, if we have a business where we're doing 12, 20, 30 cc's of non-manager business, is that we're never going to develop new managers. And developing new managers is the lifeblood of our business. You know, we have to have a business on purpose rather than a business that is just maintaining. And if you've only got 30 cc's every month in a non-manager business, where are the new managers coming from? Where are the new leaders coming from? Where are your new chairman's bonus legs coming from? Also, remember this. High case credits means high bonus checks. And it's really interesting when our bonus checks drop, we're all very quick to point the finger. Oh, my bonus case has dropped. It's the economist's fault. It's my team's fault. It's the products. is they're too expensive. We have so many excuses. And yet what we don't realize, when we point the finger, 3 fingers point straight back at us. And in pointing straight back at us, this is where I always believe that we need to have a sense of honesty. Because what are we doing, non-manager? Are we doing 100 case credits non-manager? Because if we are, then we're leading by example. And if we're doing it, we can teach it. And if we can teach it, we can duplicate it. And if we can duplicate, we can double. You have a very, very high retention rate when you've got 100cc non-manager businesses. You know, one of the things that I've noticed in my time with Forever, and I think Greg alluded to it earlier when he said, there will be tough times on this journey. There always are. That's life. No matter what you do, there's always tough times. It's what we learn in those tough times. It's the person we become in those tough times that determines our future. And rather than worry about all that's not right, why don't we look at all that could be good? And one of the things we've noticed is the managers who are doing 12.01, who are doing 20 or 30 cc's of non-manager, when the wind blows, they fall. Because they don't have deep roots. They panic. Their income drops. And let's face it, if they're only doing 20 or 30 cc's of non-manager business, their income is not great. So therefore, when the wind blows, they panic. And these are the FBOs that are more likely to leave, to do something else, to panic, and to cause problems in the team. But if you get them up to 100, the income's good. They've put down roots. When the wind blows, yes, they sway a bit. They may need a little bit of extra input, a bit of TLC, a bit of putting their arms around them and saying, come on, we can do this. But they don't go anywhere. Also, they achieve all the incentives really easily. You know, very often with the 100cc non-manager leaders, they have their Eagle Manager qualification done in a few months. They have their chairman's bonus done quite easily. They have their global rally done quite easily because once you're doing 100 cc's of non-manager business, it's relatively easy to qualify for everything. Whereas those that aren't, they're the ones panicking at the last moment. They're the ones causing problems at the last moment. They're the ones that maybe be bending the rules at the last moment because they left it too late. I think the key thing is you're leading by example. You're leading by example, which is the most important part. Don't ever ask someone to do something that you're not prepared to do yourself or are not doing yourself. But the most important thing is you have a really strong business. So, very quickly, how do I go into my business, identify those that aren't performing, who could perform, and get them to 100 case credits? Well, I have a very, very simple theory, and I'm about to share it with you. The first thing is we need to identify the potential 100cc managers that could be. And if everybody in this room were to draw out their manager businesses on paper and look at it and think about it, the first thing that you're going to realize is some of the managers in your team have potential to double their business. They're maybe just not yet realizing that. And some of them genuinely don't. Some of them are happy where they are. So one of the things that I always do is I always look at my business at least every quarter, every half year, and I actually look at the FBOs that I believe have got more potential and I call them. And I say, hey, how you doing? I've been looking at the business and I just wanted to give you a quick phone call to say, I believe that you have real star quality. I believe that you could be exceptional. And I just am giving you a quick call to say, if you're ready to go to work, I'm ready to work with you. And what I'm looking to do is to take you from 40 cases to 100 cc's over the next 3-4 months. Be honest with me. Are you up for it? And if they say yes, you now have got a commitment from them that you can go to work. You can put a plan and a strategy in place. Work them fast and hard because they've said yes. And if there are some people in your team that you think have got potential, but when you ring them and say, be honest with me, and they go, well, you know what, Jayne, I'm a bit busy at the moment. I've got this and I've got that. You know, don't spend time with people that don't deserve your time. You know they're not ready. So therefore, help them be the best they could be at maintaining 20, 30, 40. But you need to put your energy into the ones that want to go from 40 to 100. So then once I've identified that person, I have a planning meeting. And I sit down with them and I put a new strategy in place. And that new strategy is very simple. It's a recruiting strategy based on a rounded recruitment program, not just one method of recruiting, but many methods, over a weekly period, over a monthly period, over a quarterly period. And then I hold them accountable because they want to be held accountable. They're actually excited I'm putting input into them. So have that planning meeting. Sit with them. Put a strategy in place for recruiting. Put a strategy in place for retailing. Show them incremental growth every single month. If in the first month they went from 40 to 50, win-win. If in the next month they go from 50 to 70, win-win. If in the next month they go from 70 to 90, win-win. And if in the fourth month they go from 90 to 100, cha-ching, everybody's happy. But that's happened because you've had a strategy, you've worked with them, you've believed in them, you've engaged with them, and you've held them accountable. And the easiest way to get them to do that is to work on finding 4 brand new people who want to go to supervisor. 4 brand new people who want to become supervisor is 100 cc's. So actually it's really, really, really simple. Identify the people, make the call, get the commitment, have the meeting, put the strategy in place, and go to work. Remember that this business is about incentives, recognition, and having fun. And once you've identified those that want to go to work, not only will you change the shape of their businesses, but you'll change the shape of your business too. So what I say is, ×2, have a level of honesty, identify those that want to go to work, and watch what happens in the next 6 months. We have many, many, many people in the UK in our team doing 100 cc's non-manager a month. Diana Page in the room today, 7 years in a row, never did less than 100 cc's a month. And myself and John have had our businesses over 200 to 300 cc's non-manager business, and we've had it just under. But we've always been up to 100 and thereabouts or over. And it hasn't served us too badly. So if it can serve us like that, it can do the same for you. So remember, the magic 100. Go for it, enjoy it, and be 7.5, 10, 12.5, who knows where next year. Thank you very much.